Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, but you can call me Pajama Grandma. In case we haven't met yet, go ahead and put hashtag pajama in the comments below. So that's the first time you're being exposed to the Pajama Grandma. Today is day 367 of What's She Up To Now? What She Up To Now is my daily journal or my daily documentation of what the heck I'm doing as I transition from brick and mortar businesses, corporate America, offline world, to the online world of business, and how I marry those two and three very diverse experiences, and actually 27 very diverse experiences together to create something that is uniquely me. One of the projects I'm working on in a really big way, which is why I titled this Details, is a women's summit. I'm doing a women's summit with all women business owner speakers for female entrepreneurs and women business owners. And this one is all about customers. Getting customers, keeping customers, building relationships with customers, creating lifelong value and lifelong relationships with customers, the customer experience, all customer related topics. And I'm not covering all possible customer related topics, of course, duh, but I am covering a bunch of them. And yesterday I finally sat down and started working on the funnel, which, let's be honest, it should have been done a month ago or 3 weeks ago. And I should have been doing a waiting list, and I should have been doing all kinds of cool things for this, but I didn't do it. It's my first time through this process and I didn't do it. Will the next time be 100 times better? Yes. Will I maybe have to relaunch this again? I might have to. I might. It's launching next week. It's launching live next week, the 29th, 30th, and 31st, because that was my commitment to myself. But it doesn't mean I won't launch it and then do another launch of it where I really launch it. I use the funnel. I use the promotion. We all launch it out together again. Maybe you know, a month later in February. Maybe we launch it and then we're like, okay, now let's really promote and set it out there and launch it as we ramp up for and get ready for the next one, so that I can do the promotion right and the partnership right, and I can do an awesome job for the women that have and are sharing their incredible wisdom with respect to customers on this particular summit. I just thought of that, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, but it'll be going next week. I'm doing a ton of interviews this week to fill in. I actually started putting all the assets in the funnel, you know, pictures of everyone, their links, the actual links to their presentations, creating their individual pages for the summit, things like that. And it's a ton of work, and I knew it was going to be a ton of work, and I should have a whole team of people doing it, but I don't. This first time through, it's just me, so I'm figuring it out. Is everything going 100% swimmingly and as easily as it possibly could? No, of course not, because ideally it would be a lot more fun and a lot better with a whole team. And next time there will be a team of people. This time through, this is how I do things. I like to go through and kind of figure out the systems and the processes of how to get something done, and then always be improving on that, and then get the people and the resources and the whatever I need in place. But you have to figure out some of it first. You can't just, well, you can just pay somebody to do it for you, but that's not my style. I want to understand and learn and improve the process. I just don't want to copy someone else's process and plug it in. Yeah, it's easy to take $5,000 and have somebody plug it in, but then it's not mine. It's not my own. It's not my unique way of contributing to the world. And it's not that it has to be unique, but it has to be me. So if that makes sense. So this week is all about the details. I lined everybody out, and I figured out there's 5 people that I had originally committed to doing the summit that we don't have their interviews yet. And for various reasons. One poor woman got a concussion. One had a family emergency. Things happen. Things come up. A couple people decided that they were scared, and they didn't say, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to do this. They gave another excuse, but I know that it's because they're scared and they didn't want to do it. And it's such a low stress, low pressure way of sharing your message with the world. That's part of why I'm loving it. That's why I'm loving the whole summit idea. I've always loved challenges, but they were all about me doing a challenge and sharing that and then bringing other people into it. This is all about showcasing other people and letting them share their expertise in the detailed area that they've dug into and they really are awesome at. It's an area that I really don't work with or touch on that much. I mean, I do those things for my business, but it's not an area that I'm an expert in. So it's fun to be sharing that with the rest of the world. But putting all the details and the pieces together it's harder than I thought for me, because I am not a detailed person. I am okay, I want to do this. This is the part I can do, and I want to do the parts I want to do. So having to do all the detailed parts, it's difficult for me. I am not a graphic person. So just picking out the colors, just picking out the format, it's a challenge for me. I spent a couple hours yesterday dilly-dallying around with that because I was struggling with it. And I'm like researching and looking around, and I'm like, yeah, I just have to do it. So I just started doing it. Picked a theme, picked a process, picked some colors, and boom, starting it. Now, are they great? Do I love them? Do they speak to me? No, they speak to me a little, but they're not, I don't love them yet. So they might totally change between now and tomorrow, as far as like the colors and the branding and things. Because I would really like to get something consistent for the whole year of the Women's Summit and go with that. But I don't know that I feel that committed to it yet. And I have to feel like it's the right thing, or it's not the right thing for us and for me and for this project. So working on that. Doing 30 more days on the daily scare share, which is kind of fun because I'm going back to the beginning of that little journal book. It's this little journal book about doing one thing a day that scares you. And all last year I shared one thing from each page, whatever it was, to stretch my comfort zone. But I started about 30 some pages into it because I'd done this book. I started it before and stopped it before. We all do that. We start things and we quit. We start things and we stop for various reasons. I'm sure as I go through this, I'll remember and it will trigger the reasons I stopped doing it. But the fact is, I quit doing it. I did it for 12 days, and then for some reason I stopped doing it. And hopefully on the 12th day, when I get to that, I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, I totally know why I stopped doing that. Then it was like a month or so, and I picked it up again for a couple of days, and I stopped doing it again. Then it was, whatever it is, I'm going to learn that as I go back through the first 30 days of this and share that, because I think it's important to share those first 30 days because they were the first 30 days for a reason. The reason the person wrote this little journal and created it that way, I'm sure they did it for a reason. I don't know, because they say you can go through the book and you could randomly skip around, which I could do, but how would you ever keep track if I randomly skipped around in this book as I'm sharing it with you and with other people? I wouldn't be able to. So I went through it in order, but you don't have to. It's like the books that I create. I actually have written a couple of books called flip books, and I don't have a copy of my book sitting here because I'm packing to move, but it's a giant book about this thick. And it is mostly a thought that, like these journals, it triggers a thought, and it's you thinking about that today and what does that mean to you? Well, you can skip around and do whatever you want. I like to randomly pick a page in that book and just, that's my thought, and that's what I'm going to think about today. It's kind of like those decks of cards I like. Sorry about that. It's kind of like the decks of cards I like so much, where I can just shuffle through, and whatever card comes up, that's the message for me today. That's what I need to think about and hear today. I might not understand it when I draw it, but sometime throughout the next 24-hour period, it will become very apparent why I picked that particular card or why I went to that page. So it's really fun to do that, the random way of picking things, but it's also fun to go through and have a strategic process that we follow for certain things in our lives. So some things can be random, some things should be on purpose. Creating a women's summit, and dropping my journal. Creating a women's summit and sharing information with other people, it's got to have some thought behind it and some purpose. So yesterday I mapped out the 3 days of delivering the summit. The first day will be all about getting clients, bringing and attracting new people into your business, and the speakers that talk about that. The second day will be all about building relationships, keeping clients, communicating with them, the things and the speakers that talk about that part of the process. And the third day will be all about the speakers that have been in business longer than the others because they've had experience and they've been through the life cycle of customers and the life cycle of their business, and how they have created lifelong customers and created value and continue to create more and more value for the people that they serve, turning them into lifelong customers. And I'm not sure that I've got enough for each of those days, but as I'm working on the details, I'll fill in with supplemental trainings and options, and maybe I'll go out and I'll find a couple more speakers this week to fill those days in and fill those spots in and make sure that we're covering the high points. Will we cover everything about customers? Absolutely not. Only because I didn't map out in the beginning, and this is what I will do better next time, planning out as I invite speakers and their topics to fit them into specific segments and specific things that I want to make sure that we cover on the summit. I knew that finding women that have been in business for any length of time that speak about customers, have had different levels of experience with customers and customer service and all the different facets of handling customers. So it was a pretty easy topic to find speakers for, because if you're in business, you've got to deal with customers, and you have to have in some way, shape, or form dealt with customers. So what's interesting is that is the number one challenge, concern, question that comes up for business owners, not just female business owners. And I was actually surprised, because when I did surveying and asking people in questions, and I did several surveys and a lot of research to come up with the topics for this Women's Summit, because I was only going to do one. So I was like, well, what is the biggest question? What's the biggest topic? And it was overwhelmingly things to do with handling customers. And that's not actually the area of expertise or where I work. I work in helping people grow and scale their businesses and move on. What's the next step type things. No matter where you're stuck, this is what you can do to get unstuck, and this is what you do next. And combining offline and online components to create a supersized business in the business that you love. And so it's very different. Now, do I have to deal with customers? Have I dealt with customers for 40 some years? Absolutely. Both in a corporate setting and in owning my own businesses and in a lot of different industries. So even though I don't specifically have that as my area of expertise, I mean, I don't teach people how to get customers. I don't teach people how to enhance the relationship with customers. That's not my area of expertise, but I inadvertently do that in everything that I do, because we all do in our businesses. So it's about the details of putting together the summit and breaking it down so that it makes sense, and so people can find the things that they want. Because if I am just starting out and my biggest problem and my biggest challenge is that I need customers, then I want to watch those and listen to those speakers and do that part of the summit. I might not be ready for or need to spend my time, which is a limited resource, listening to the entire summit. Most people don't have 3 days that they can spend dedicated to listening to, granted, amazing, amazing, amazing women on the topic of customers. But they do have a half hour here, a half hour there that they can dedicate to say, I really need to hear this. I really need to know how content can help me, since I'm just starting out and I'm bootstrapping. How can content creation, and what kind of content can I create, and what kind of content should I create? What platform should I use? I need to find out about that, because I have to bootstrap while I'm still working my corporate job and I only have an hour a day. What is the best bang for my buck to get customers coming to me so I can build my business up so that I can leave my corporate job? Again, everybody's situation is going to be different. So that's what I'm working on today. That's what I'm working on all week. If you're looking for me, that's what I'll be doing. And my coaching students are being so awesome about this, because they know it's a huge project for me. And I think they're excited about it, as excited as I am to see me actually demonstrating what it is that I teach them to do. I do what I talk about, and that's important for people. So what are you working on? How do you feel about customers? If you'd love to weigh in or chat about this, I would love to. I still will make room for a couple of more speakers. If customers are your thing and your area of expertise, just direct message me. We've got all week, including the weekend, and an interview only takes like about half an hour. So if you are an expert in handling customers, maybe you're an emailing expert and a follow-up, or a relationship through direct marketing expert with customers. Maybe you do billboards. I haven't touched on a lot of the traditional marketing platforms. I mean, I did talk to a lady about TV. She does documentaries, but I haven't really talked to anybody. Well, that's not true either. I did have a lady that talked about direct mail and how effective that was for her. But I'm sure there's still some things that I haven't touched on. Podcasting sort of covers radio. But if you're an area, if customers are your thing, if any area of customer handling is your thing, please, please, please message me right now, because I would love to have you as part of the summit. Not only will the people that listen to it benefit from your knowledge and your expertise, but you'll benefit by exposing yourself and your expertise to many, many more people. And that's the whole purpose of this summit. Go out, make it a fantastic day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow, because I'm documenting my journey, and I'm hoping that you can learn something mainly from my mistakes, because I know that's what I learned the most from. All right, bye. Catch you tomorrow.